Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in as we are going to have a great show with all of you tonight. We are expecting Courtney Marchesani to be here momentarily, and if she isn't, because her internet signal in Montana isn't that good sometimes, we'll figure something else out, because no matter what happens, we got to do a show. We have to do a show. That's just the rules of engagement that we have around here. So let us say hello to each and every one of you, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Race Fan with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing the bronze medal tonight. Hello there, Robert Lamoth, and attorney-at-large Michael Morris. Good to have you here. Bar Madison and Kitty Caddywhack, how are you? Paramarv, thanks for coming on in. Frankie B. Area 51, good to have you back. And, yeah, Stanley Cup Finals is amazing so far. But we're only one game in, so we'll see how it goes. David Nornberg. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any of that rigidness. So, Mel, thank you for lubing us up. We appreciate it. Scrolling on down, up next, we say hello to little Timmy James. If you want to hop on, Tim, come on in. JSCO, how are you? Mama Catherine, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night. And we're going to make this a good show just for you. Just for you, my dear. Crave Dog is here. Crave Dog will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. As we scroll on down, Flat 6, nice to have you here. Hillbilly Herb, what's happening? Lil Cam on YouTube. You know what he did today? He literally ran around his street block 74 times in 12 minutes. 74 times in 12 minutes. And not one of those mini, like, subdivision street blocks. No, it was like the size of a Vegas street block. It was awesome. Way to push it, my friend. Way to push it. Scrolling on down, let us say hello to Hillbilly Herb again. And Chris716, Operation Shutdown. Good to have you both here. We scroll on down, and next we have, let's see, Tuxin Mufon. How are you? It's been a while. Nice to have you back in the room. Number 2 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Janssen. There you go. Lisa Smith, good to see you as we continue on with our roll call tonight. And up next, who do we have? Thomas Rock. And Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Algaray over on Twitch, pushing himself today. 1,400 calf raises in 3 minutes. You know how fast his stomach muscles were working? Oh, man. Guy's got an 8-pack. Undead Jed, how are you? Welcome back. As we continue on with our roll call, Kimberly Burgess is here. Kimberly Burgess will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. JMJ12, Super Crazy. Tracy Winters, nice to have you all here. Richard Cardinal, thank you for joining us. I'm Hardcore on X. Good to see you. Let's continue on here. Fast Hemi, thanks for coming on in. Ozzy, and Exquisite. Good to have you both here. Stargazer, Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Bob Thorson, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. We greatly appreciate your great love and support of SOR, so thank you very much, Bob. And what did I hit here? There we go. FU, Zaddy. That's all I'm going to say. FU. Absolutely. And Wayne Sacrilege, how are you? Eternity Eternal, good to see you. Millennium, my man, thanks for coming on in. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're hanging on out. We're going to see where this show goes. Courtney Marchesani is efforting to try and get in, but she's having some computer troubles as we speak. And we're just going to roll on into it. We're just going to roll. That's what we do here. Got to be a show. You guys want it. I want to deliver it. So that's what we're going to do. Scrolling on down. Kevin Kennedy, nice to see you. Kurt M., thanks for coming on in. And Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. Our store is open on our website. No ugly swag. Do me a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show for you tonight. We're going to have just some dialogue on UFOs. There's a lot going on in the UFO world right now. We got to talk about it. We're going to take a lot of audience questions right off the bat. So if you're in our YouTube chat or listening live on X, make sure you get your questions in capital letters. I will get them to you as we go along. Now, we are efforting to try and get our guest tonight, Courtney Marchesani, on the show here. She is having some technical difficulties on her end due to a storm in her world. So we're trying. But we're going to just motor on through because that's what we do. And because of that, little Timmy James is going to join us here as we speak. Tim James, thank you for hopping on in tonight. We appreciate you. And, you know, I wish you were in studio, my man. It's always more fun when you're in studio.
I agree, 100%. Definitely. How are you doing tonight?
I am good, man. I had a good day. I mowed my lawn.
Oh.
And now it's getting stormy out.
I know. The wind's just howling out.
Yeah. It's the scorpions singing the winds of change in our little town as we switch from spring to summer. And thankfully, there's no forest fires yet. Knock on wood. No pun intended. A lot of UFO news coming up today. And I wanted to start off with a little bit from Senator Kristen Gillibrand, who is literally out there saying, I think Anna Paulina Luna is right. I think we have to get rid of AARO program. Now, AARO is a group that's been around for a couple of years running the UFO program out of the Pentagon. They were supposed to be the eyes, the ears, the nose, the touch and feels of the UFO community to bring transparency to this thing that we call ufology, or to many newcomers, UAPology. And they haven't worked. It hasn't worked. It's on its third leader, and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick caused a lot of controversy, still seems to cause a lot of controversy with everything. Are you surprised that Senator Gillibrand came out and said, maybe it is time for us to get rid of Arrow and put the UFO story in the hands of the FBI?
Well, no, not really. I'm not surprised. I think that the way that you and I have talked about it, and over the course of the last few weeks, for sure, is the new face, the new face. I think what maybe, just speculating, but maybe what she's looking at is going, okay, you know what? It's time to change things around. We've had Kirkpatrick go, nothing to see here. We've had new dude, nothing to see here. So it's Arrows of the nothing to see here group. So I'm thinking, like I say, just off the top of my head, and pure speculation, I don't have anything to back it up, but my opinion is that, I think that maybe she's going, time to get rid of the same old, switch it up, and let's put the FBI in charge. I mean, they've been doing it long enough, right? Everybody always thought it was the CIA and whatever, but the FBI's been in there pretty hip deep as well. So, I guess a change is as good as any.
Here's the thing, though. When you put it in the hands of a law enforcement agency like the FBI, are we really going to get to the truth? Are we really going to get what people want? And that is rock solid evidence that can, without a shadow of a doubt, bring this story to light the way that the Congress people tend to think that this should be, even though we know that there is an intelligence game being played here at the same time.
Yeah, and I think you're right, too. I think that with the FBI, with a law enforcement entity, it definitely a different approach to it. I think that they're well, I guess they've all got rules to follow, but I think a little bit more governed would probably be, in a little more stringent and a little more chain of command, I guess is a good way of putting it. And like I say, I don't know. They've been hip deep in it for a while now. So yeah, I'm not sure how that'd work. Would the FBI possibly, carry the narrative for the government? And, again, nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. It was a weather balloon. It's swamp gas, whatever they come up with. Will they toe that line and partner up and be buddy, or are they going to be like, no, this needs to be sectioned out and we need to unveil stuff, right? I'm not too sure. I'm on the fence.
I'm on the fence with it too, because I don't know if adding it to a law enforcement agency is the right way to go. I think if anything, they need an independent board.
Right.
Okay, made up of scientists, journalists, government officials, military officials who have nothing to do with the military anymore, no private contracts, no nothing, okay, where they are there for the subject and the subject at hand.
Right.
I mean, that to me is going to show an unbias. I mean, to have a pool of people who would be on there who have absolutely nothing to do but the best interest of the subject.
Right.
That is what Sky Canada was trying to do up in Canada, but it hasn't been released yet. We don't know if it'll ever be released now.
Exactly.
But in my opinion, that's what is needed for this subject, is an independent review board to really push and hammer through. And these people need to be sworn in with top secret clearance. Okay.
Yeah.
So that way, not that they can protect the information, but
right.
So that way they can get access to the information.
Yeah, bang on.
And that's the way, and the only way that it needs to be. Some people would say that's the beginning of catastrophic disclosure. Others would say, let's be smart about this. But I have zero trust in anything that any government agency is going to do. Now, I'm not saying these FBI people are bad people.
Sure.
But we do need to look at the fact that their job is to protect the United States.
Correct.
It's not to protect the people and their curiosity.
No. And yeah, I think that you've basically, yeah, you've nailed it, right? I think that I agree with you to I guess to an extent with the FBI. I they're still a government entity. They're still monitored by the government and stuff. And yeah, they, like you say, they're there to protect. But putting a board together of independent scientists with or top secret clearance and all that sort of stuff, good researchers and stuff, I think they'd be smart enough not to just to dump the whole bowl of rice out onto the table, right? I think that first of all, I think that they would probably most likely be far more diligent in doing the research and figuring out what it was, like really dissecting it. But I also think that they'd be probably smart enough to if they were going to disclose stuff, is we just found something about this and we just found something about that. I don't know if it'd be a landslide of information coming out that we just had to try to all catch. I don't think that would happen, but I do
Yes.
believe that the independent side of it with no skin in the game, right? This
Agreed.
isn't, national security and all the catchphrases that are used. These people are here to actually do the work and let us know and well, obviously their government know, but let us know what's going on. And that little bit, I think the wind's kicking up. So I think that
Yeah.
little bit would be bring back some credibility to the research of it and for the public. I think that they'd be looking and go, okay, finally the government has done something right, and we've got a different group of people checking this out and working on this that have no skin in the game, so to speak. So I think
Okay,
that
so here's a comment from Jeremy in our chat room, and
Mhm.
Jeremy's still a bit angry because my Edmonton Oilers knocked out his Dallas Stars in 5 games in the last round of the NHL playoffs in the Western Conference Final, and he is saying, honestly, I'm sick and tired of the UFO subject. It's clearly obvious so many of these quote unquote experts are full of it.
Mhm.
They muddied the waters so people would stop caring, and guess what? It's working. I want to clarify something on that,
Mhm.
okay? And you don't have to believe me, Jeremy, or anybody who agrees with this question, because I think Jeremy is 100% correct on this.
Oh yeah.
I'm even tired of it. I'm tired of the crap. I mean, Tim, you and I talk privately almost every day, and you've heard me say, I'm so sick and tired of what this subject has become,
Yes.
okay? But I want to clarify something here. You're tired of the UAP subject. You're not tired of the UFO subject. They are vastly two different subjects. And a lot of people, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, a researcher named Joel Dodd, earlier before on the show. He's got fantastic hair and goatee combination. He really does. Okay. And we were talking about this literally up until about 10 minutes before showtime. And we were talking about this exact same thing. I have been harping, and I'm going to pat my own back here for a second. I hope you don't mind.
Go for it.
But I have been harping on this subject for almost 7 years about UAP versus UFO. Everybody is sick and tired of me saying UAP are man-made objects, UFOs are not. UAP has always been a distraction, okay, which came with a threat narrative courtesy of the To the Stars Academy. It came with all of these groups talking about deception in our sky, and that we need to start putting money immediately into this because this threat narrative, they're going to collide with our aircraft. They're going to take out our military planes. They're going to take out our commercial planes. They're going to shoot down satellites. We need to get this under control. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's all been there. But that being said, UFOs has never been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because UFOs, we're talking about the aliens. We're talking about the extraterrestrials. We're talking about the beings that are hanging on out, trying to communicate with many people here. Many people in the subject who are having real experiences. Now, the skeptics will say, well, you can't trust them because they have no proof. They have no evidence. They have nothing except a story. We can't trust a story. Well, guess what? These people are at least on the mark. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to believe Grant Cameron's research, Nicole Sackich's research, Melinda Leslie's research, or anybody else's research like that. But they are more on the ball and more transparent than the research that we are getting from the UAP crowd, where even their own UAPers are turning on them.
Yep, absolutely. No, again, you're preaching, right? I've got my UFO reports kind of tonight's a little bit on that, so I don't want to. But yeah, you're right, and the fighting amongst the UAPers is it's how would I put this on the radio? This is see who's got the biggest tree trunk in their backyard, right? It's just it's more about. Yeah, the UAP thing, it's more about who's got more friends and who's got more influence and who's got more and who's got more. And also, like I talked about last week, UAP, it's about kind of forgetting the past and pushing those people that did all that research and door knocking and wore out souls on their shoes, UFO researchers. It's totally. You're totally bang on, and you're right. I agree too. Sick and tired of probably the UAP stuff. I wouldn't say so much about the UFO stuff, but I do understand where Jeremy's coming from. I get it 100%.
Absolutely, and he has a right. And look, this isn't about taking away national security. It has nothing to do with national security whatsoever. There is a lot that they could release that isn't going to harm anything. Except it's going to hurt a number of people's feelings who want the toys for all of their own. Whether it's Raytheon, Palantir, Lockheed Skunk Works, Boeing Skunk Works, British Aerospace, whoever it may be. Right? So it really is a little bit of troublesome with that.
Right.
Tim.
Yes. No, it is. It is. And I don't quite understand what the deal is, right? I really don't. I don't get what the fuss is about. And again, and I've said it before, I don't understand why they're not all working together. And it's funny because if you look back at the past, okay, so if you go back into the 40s and 50s and maybe even the 60s, what gets me is the government was more than willing to admit that there was nothing up there except weather balloons, weather phenomenon, swamp gas, birds, whatever, something that they could use to debunk. They had no issue with that, right? Yeah, there's no threat. There's no threat. There's no threat. What gets me is now it's the switch, right? And I go, okay, so what all of a sudden changed your mind? Now it is a threat. So that narrative, and without trying to sound like a jerk, the UAP community kind of waves that flag with them. It's national security, and I don't understand it, and it bothers me, and I know it bothers you. And like you say, we've talked about it so much. It's just like it's frustrating as heck.
And I want to preface this: it isn't a shot at the military community. It isn't a shot about staying ahead, because you know what? You and I are blessed to live in Canada, where we have an umbrella over us called the United States military.
Yes.
And when I say thank veterans, I'm not just saying thank Canadian veterans. It is all the veterans who are out there across North America, especially those in the United States, because they're not protecting one country, they're protecting an entire continent. Okay, on their own. Because Lord knows our government up here does squat for our amazing troops.
True.
They really do. Our troops are still, here's an example of how bad the Canadian military is, okay? Under the previous regime, they went and spent $1 million, I believe, on, why am I forgetting the word? Sleeping bags.
Yes. That's
they
right.
went and spent $1 million on sleeping bags for our troops for Arctic training, where it gets below 40 below zero Fahrenheit and Celsius, because it's the same. That's why I chose that. And the sleeping bags were rated for minus 10 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is how dumb our defense spending is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I don't think that we need to be able to give up the secrets. When I say we, I'm saying the United States military doesn't have to give up the technology. They don't have to give up the secrets. But you know what? Telling us that we're not alone or we're being visited does not hurt the defense strategy.
No.
Okay?
No.
But on the flip side, I also understand why. Because this is more than just coming out and saying aliens are real and we're hiding the technology. Way more real than that. There is economic and human impact on that, whether it's religion, whether it's financial, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever it may be.
Right.
Okay? There is real-time issues with that. And I think that has to be part of the counter as well.
Oh yeah, you're right, and I keep saying you're right, but yeah, we're both on the same page here, because I think that is not what people, or the people in charge of this are taking into consideration, because it isn't just about, like you say, saying, hey, there's a little green man, and yeah, no, we've got spaceships, and okay, we're going to confirm this, right? It's not just about that. Like you say, you've got people that are would be devastated by this news, economically, religiously, and like just emotionally. And I think that if you're not, how'd you put it? If you're not prepping people and slowly opening the floodgates, for lack of a better term, you're going to drown people. And if you just lay it out there, I think that, yeah, they're more concerned about, I think, their money and their secret, but they're not thinking about the people that have elected them and put them in there and are paying for them to be there. You still have to. There we go. We're back. You still have to take care of the people, and that's more than just disclosure. And you're right. They. I don't know. I can. I may be wrong, and people may in the chat room may say, no. But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any prep, because they're still denying to a certain extent that this stuff is going on. And yeah, I think that their egos are in the way. We're going to be so embarrassed because we lied. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you should be. You should be embarrassed, and you should feel ashamed of yourselves for lying. But what about the rest of the people that this is going to affect when you push your ego out of the way? Have a look around, right? Have a look and see what this could actually do to just people themselves, right?
Well, and that's exactly it, the human impact of it all. But that still doesn't forgive the fact that this subject has been torn to shreds. And if we go back to 2018, going to Lou Elizondo's article where he said, ufology must die. That's exactly the plan that has happened. We have the scientists who are wanting to get big money for research projects, because let's face it, any research needs funding.
Right.
Okay, it does. That's how we help with figuring things out on this planet. We also have, the amount of subjects that are looking into this, whether it's the FBI subject of it all, the CIA subject of it all, the military subject of it all, and then you have all of the secondary groups like Ryan Graves' group for Safe Skies, whether it's that or whether it's Soul Foundation, whether it's Avi Loeb from Harvard's group. Okay, there are many different subcategories who are all pushing for some sort of funding to try and make this happen. And they all have one thing in common. This is a threat. We need to figure the threat out.
Yeah.
Okay. We throw around the word threat, the UFO community, like governments are throwing around terms of endearment, like, calling their citizens out in certain names. I don't like to get political, but I'm just using that as an analogy. And it's time for everybody to kind of grow up on that. It really is. It I'll be honest with you. It bugs me. It bugs me a lot. And we need to be better at it. When we return for the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio, if we were to do an independent inquiry, who would you want on that list? We'll hit up Tim James when he returns. myself included, on Spaced Out Radio. All right. If you haven't seen my messages earlier, Courtney is having technical issues around her house, and she cannot get online. So that is why Tim is here joining us. I know you guys love Courtney. I love Courtney too. Unfortunately, we can't do anything sometimes about the weather and how technology reacts to that. So we're still putting on a show for you. You could be sitting at home watching reruns of Days of Our Lives, or you can hang out here and have some fun with us. And we're hoping that you decide to hang out here and have fun with us, because the show must always go on. That's the rule of Spaced Out Radio. Other podcast people, because we're not a podcast, we're a radio show. Other podcasts would say, oh, I can't get a hold of my guest tonight. I'm just going to cancel the show for tonight. And then you're looking forward to that show all day, and there's no show. Well, guess what? We don't do that here. We don't do that here at all. Our job is to provide you guys with a show, and that's what we are doing. And we're talking some UFOs, and that's what we're going to continue to do as Tim tries to smack away any mosquito in his in his studio. And go from there. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I realize you were looking forward to Courtney, but I can't do anything about her tech not working. So I apologize for that, but let's just have a fun show. Hey, Tim, just so you know, when you are freezing up and you see yourself freezing up, your audio is still good. So just keep talking.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
And let's say hello to Eli. How you doing? Walter Kochabinski. How you doing? Let's see who else is showing up here. And Pat Leal, how are you, my friend? Zenzabil, thanks for coming on in. Spirit of Justice, the Sigma Empath, welcome to SOR Chat. And Jeremy Jones, thank you for that awesome super chat. Greatly appreciate it, my man. Who else has come on in? Let's see here. Willard Wright, how are you? Missouri Man, thank you for joining us. I'm a little behind in the chat room right now. I apologize, guys. Gorgeous Kim Jellin is here, everybody. She has just pre-brushed and flossed her teeth in order to prepare for this show. Smile away. Show us those pearly whites. Love her. She's awesome. S23, welcome to SOR Chat. Rono how are you? Warden Dragon, thank you for coming on in. Cool Arrow, good to see you. Lex Diaz, thank you for joining us. Seymour and Alien Believers, good to have you here. Hi, John Jackson. Hippie Deidre, nice to see you. Zenzabil, I think I said hi to you already, but I'll say hi again because I'm that guy. Am I almost caught up here?
I think so. You're just going to grab my water.
A minute behind now. Matthew Goodka, nice to have you here. Shaq Valet, thank you for joining us. Stevie Franchise, good to have you here. Yes, Dreisaitl was amazing last night. Absolutely amazing. Dave Tiger Williams is here. He'll drop the gloves for you. Hi, Jackie. How are you? Amy WC, looking hot tonight. Yes, no, maybe. Thank you for joining us. Michelle, where'd your name go? Michelle Johnson, how are ye? I like to use the word ye sometimes. Go to that old school English. How are ye? I haven't washed the jersey all playoffs, guys. I will not wash the jersey until after the playoffs. Jerence Carter, how are you? You're the hottie, Jerence. You're the hottie. Blue Cruz, nice to see you. Big thank you tonight to Bob, Pam, and Jeremy for the Super Chats. Remember, folks, the Super Chats are a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And I don't know if Courtney is going to be able to join us. I'm hoping she can if things go better. But get your questions in, because we will make this a night of your questions as we continue on. Keep it on the UFO subject, though. And Tim just got knocked out. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in, wherever you are. I do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun being able to talk about these topics with you each and every night. And if you've missed some, that's okay, because we have our archives for free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Now, we've lost Tim James because I think his power's gone out. There's a storm brewing here over SOR headquarters, so hopefully he'll get back on unless somebody's actually knocked his power out. That would be good. Maybe we could get him to come back in studio. Let's see. He's got a note here. Just lost internet and cable. I'll be back as soon as I can. Drive over if you want. There we go. Moving on. Now we got him taken care of. Now, I was asking Tim, and I'm going to just bring out some names here. If we in the UFO world were to build an independent UFO group for the government to hire, with no ties to government, no ties to contractors, no anything, what would you need on that list? Now, I'm going to throw out some names here. You don't have to agree with them, but they would be on my list because I think that they are people who would absolutely make great independent workers on this subject. Now, of course, they would all need to be cleared. They would all need to be coming on and making sure that they're doing it for the right reasons and not to expand their own pockets or anything like that. So it is something that we can actually take a look at. So I'm not putting these in any particular order. I'm just throwing these names out there. But if I were to look at the UFO community as of right now, who would I put on that list? Well, first of all, anybody on that list would actually have to have a name and not a pseudonym. You know, there's a lot of great researchers out there who are hiding behind, fake names. Okay? And maybe it's for identity because of their job. Maybe it's for identity because of anything. But I think that they would be absolutely wonderful for this. The first name that comes to my mind when it comes to this subject would be somebody like Richard Dolan. Now, the reason why I choose Richard Dolan, and I don't usually agree a lot of what Richard Dolan talks about, okay, I was very disappointed when he jumped off the UFO bandwagon a number of years ago to become a UAPer because that was the trendy thing to do. But Dolan has a history of being able to dig up information, okay? He's an educated man. He speaks very eloquently, and his heart is in the right place for this subject. I could see somebody like him going very far in this field trying to make things happen. Now, he would be a perfect UFO historian. He would be somebody who is able to communicate not only with the public but with the media as well. He looks good on camera. He is a great speaker. I think he would be a great person on this subject. Now, even though I don't agree with him a lot, and sometimes he drives me a little crazy, I'd like to see Chris Mellon on this team. Chris Mellon, the former Deputy Secretary of Defense and Intelligence, he is a UAPer. He is working diligently behind the scenes to try and bring this subject to the politicians and everybody behind closed doors. He's not a very public person. He is somebody where even though he has come out in support of the UFO/UAP world, he also has the knowledge of how government works. You need somebody like that on that team. You need somebody who is able to talk the political side of everything and the jargon to get these people into the field. Now, literally, the guy has a personality like drywall publicly. He's very dry. He's very bland. Probably drives a four-door beige Volvo sedan. Okay? I don't think there's a lot of excitement. I mean, I don't think anybody in the public has ever seen Chris Mellon smile, laugh, or even a hearty chortle. I don't think that's happened. But the one thing he does have is he does have the brains of how Washington, D.C. works. And in order to get an independent group together, you would need Chris Mellon there in order to try and navigate through the political jargon that this subject brings up. Because there are still a lot of politicians who don't want to buy into this story for one way or another. Okay? You would need that person in order to do that. If I were to look down my list, I would like to see Dr. Michael P. Masters on that list. He is an anthropologist at Montana Tech University. He is absolutely brilliant. He is somebody who has not only experienced the unknown, but he is somebody who has delved deep into this subject, from everything from time travel to the science behind what UFOs actually are. Yes, he is a believer, but he has not been someone who puts that beyond his educational knowledge. He's a scientist first. He is somebody who has the ability to make or break this story, and we need somebody like him. Plus, he's great on camera. He is somebody who can absolutely nail this subject and have I guess what I'm trying to say about Michael is he can have a subject for blue-collar people, or he can have a talk with the white-collared folks who are very much in a different vocabulary than you and I are. And I'm saying that in the way they speak, not as human beings, because I do believe we are all equal as people. Some may have more, but you know what? Good on them for doing that. But I think Michael P. Masters would be absolutely fantastic on that list. If I scroll through my memory here on who else I would like on that, I think it would be important to have somebody from a journalistic side on this. Now, there are a number of journalists out there who have covered this subject, from Ross Coulthart to Stephen Greenstreet and many in between. We would need to find a journalist who can cover this impartially. They don't have to have sources, but just that way they could check the data. I think Leslie Kean might be good on that, but she is also tainted by the UAP subject. Leslie is a brilliant writer. She broke the story along with Pulitzer Prize winner Ralph Blumenthal and Helene Cooper on the 2017 New York Times article. That being said, I think she's too involved with that inner circle of UAP people, from the government to everything. So I personally would not have her on my team, but I could see where people would want her to be a part of it. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. She could write about it. She understands the subject, so she could write on it. But my choice would be Ralph Blumenthal. He has the credibility of an incredible journalist. He has the Pulitzer Prize, which is the highest award in journalism you can get. He is respected in the field. He is respected by his sources. He is respected by people he's written about and by the journalistic companies that are out there. I think he would make a great journalist for this topic. Now, you need somebody on the military side. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. I don't have a name for this person, so I can't sit here and tell you it should be Colonel John Blitch or anybody else. But that person should be retired military, should have held a position at least above major, hopefully colonel or general or admiral or rear admiral. Okay, it should be of a position of authority. That person should also be retired completely, where they are not under contract with any government agency or defense contractor, that they are sitting there, they have an interest in this subject. Maybe they were an admiral of an aircraft carrier and they were able to, or of a fleet, and they were able to have an experience on an aircraft carrier. Okay? I think that would be very important. You would need somebody like that on this team. I think you need some kind of psychologist on this team. You would need somebody who could break down the psychology of humanity regarding how this will affect people if they were to find out the news. You would definitely need a psychologist in order to do that. I think you need a financial advisor to see what would the economic impact be on this. And once again, they should be independent. Maybe somebody who's retired from Wall Street, not a big name CEO who has nothing better to do like a Peter Thiel or an Elon Musk. I'm not saying that type of person. Okay, but you definitely need somebody in the financial world who has an interest in this subject. Maybe they've eyewitnessed something, or maybe they're an experiencer themselves that can absolutely go through with that. Hillbilly Herb in our chat room mentions Jeffrey Mishlove for team psychologist. I think that would be a fantastic choice for the psychologist. I also think you need a team of women on here, because a lot of women are underlooked in the UFO community. Now, I'm not saying this to be diverse. I'm not saying this to be, politically correct. That isn't it. There are a lot of brilliant women in this field, from Lorian Fenton to Nicole Sackich to Geraldine Orozco to Melinda Leslie, Misha Johnson, okay, and many, many more. There are tons of women in this field who get overlooked. And the one reason why I would add a team of women on this field, because when you bring in the experiencers, a lot more people will open up to women than they will men. Okay? That's just the truth. And we need people who understand the experiencers and the experiential level to be able to break down and find trends in this subject. And I think somebody like Lorian Fenton and Nicole Sackich would be absolutely perfect for that job. I really do. Samantha Mowat would be great for that job because she can understand the aspects of it. Christina Gomez would be fantastic for it. She is an up-and-coming journalist and absolutely a great influencer when it comes to this field. I would have no problem with them taking over major roles on this. And Christina is a lot smarter than what people give her credit for, especially in her research and journalistic review of this subject. I think you would have to have experiencers on this. This is where it gets tricky, because which experiencer do you choose? Do you choose somebody like Chris Mellon, Chris Bledsoe, who is extremely, in a good way, but extremely committed to the religious aspect of his experiences? He is a very God-fearing man. He is somebody who has been studied by not only NASA, but the people at the Vatican as well. And that is something that I think would be great, but I don't know if it would fit my independent review, because he puts everything in a very Christian connotation. That's nothing against Christians or God. I'm a God guy, so let's not even go there. But what I do believe is you need a couple of experiencers out there who absolutely understand what it is like to experience every facet of this game. The two that come to my mind would be Samantha Mowat, and of course I'm biased there, but another one would be Eric Mitchell. And Ben and Joe from UFO Garage just did released a documentary of Eric Mitchell and his experiences at Contact in the Desert. And apparently, I was talking to Ben today, and he said it was absolutely loved. And I can't wait to see their work. But Eric Mitchell, this is one of the only shows Eric Mitchell will actually go on because he trusts the fact that we are going to bring the knowledge to him and ask the proper questions of what it's like to be an experiencer and what he's going through. So I think if you looked at those type of people, Samantha and Eric, I think adding experience to them, it would be great. You would also need a lawyer. You would need somebody who could understand both constitutional law and somebody who is far enough away from the inside so that way they could have an unbiased approach. I don't know who that would be. I have my own bias on that. It is our resident listener, attorney at large, Michael Morris, who works a lot on the outside of everything. But you might look at Danny Sheehan. And over time, there are going to be other lawyers that come through. But a lot of those lawyers right now are sticking with the big guns of this subject, protecting them from the media to the attacks to the everything that kind of goes along with television contracts, radio gigs, speaking engagements, books, you name it. We would definitely need a lawyer in order to break things down. Who that would be at this time, I have no names. But I definitely know you would need one. You'd also need a crew of at least 2 or 3 pilots. Whether they are commercial or military does not matter. Okay? Whether they've had an encounter or not does not matter. But they would have to have a strength in aeronautics to be able to tell a Mylar balloon that says happy birthday on it to a UFO. They would have to be able to tell a drone from a bird and a UFO. You'd have to have somebody with that expertise. Okay? Somebody who is no longer affiliated with the military, somebody who is not under contract to any sort of military defense company, nothing like that. They'd have to be free and clear. But having pilots to be able to understand aeronautics, anti-gravitics, G-forces, and everything along those lines, they must be able to tell. And if you could prize someone who used to work, say, in black projects, who's retired, who understands that they can't break their NDA and tell you what is a UFO and what is American technology, but they can still tell you that they may have seen something like that before, you need that person. You need that skeptical person who has those ties to the secret community, who isn't going to break their NDA, so that way they are thrown into jail for breaking it, even well after their career. But you would still need that person who could discuss how this works. Yeah. You would need that person who has maybe worked at a secret base, whether it's Area 51, whether it's Dugway, whether it's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, wherever it may be. You need that person in order to be able to say, we may want to look in a different direction. It's not that they are skeptical of the source, but it's because they possibly know and have possibly dealt with that type of technology prior in their military/black ops career. So you need somebody like that, okay, on your team. You need somebody who can figure that out. Now, I think you would also need a doctor. Okay, not a Dr. Stephen Greer, but a doctor who could look at the medical concerns. I'm thinking like Dr. Roger Lear, somebody along those lines who could take experiencers and go through the symptoms that they have, whether it's Havana syndrome, whether it's PTSD from being taken. You need somebody who can look at, if somebody says, hey, I've been implanted and I need to be able to look through this, and I want to know what this implant is in my arm or behind my ear or underneath my toenail. I want to be able to have somebody who could go get that and do some tests on it. I think that would be perfect. I really do. I would honestly say that you would need an independent team, probably 15 to 20 people. Combine them how you wish. But if you want to get this subject out in the open and have a real transparency in it, the only way to do that is with an independent committee. Now, we know that's never going to happen because it involves military, it involves military contractors, and the military-industrial complex overall would not go for this whatsoever. They would not. But the one thing that this independent review board would be able to do is be able to open up the books. They have to be able to be granted access to everything, whether it's the BS NASA is hiding, whether it's what the Pentagon is hiding, the CIA, the NSA, the NRO, the FBI. Doesn't matter who it is. Where did the crash retrievals go? This independent group would need to know that. They would need to know if there really is alien bodies. They would need to know what presidents have been read in on this subject, and what do they know. So, take, for instance, the Richard Nixon story with Jackie Gleason, where it's alleged that Nixon took Jackie Gleason to a military base in Florida, took him into a hangar because Gleason had a huge, huge interest in UFOs and aliens. And he showed him the UFO. Then he went over to the test tubes and showed him the aliens that were in there, probably under some sort of formaldehyde or something like that to keep them fresh. I don't know. Okay, but that's the alleged story. And the alleged story from there is Gleason was never the same after that. He lost his funny bone. Gleason's wife even told the story about this. You could look it up on Google and read it for yourself. Paul Reed Smith does a great book on this. So you might want to check out that book on this subject. You look at the Eisenhower story. Did President Eisenhower trade humans for technology? That's another one that you would have to look at. Where it was said that he was on the West Coast at a golf tournament, charity tournament in Palm Springs, and then disappeared one night. Now, the official story is he was flown to Beverly Hills because he had a toothache. The media thought he was dead, that he had died, and they had rushed him to hospital. Then there's the other story that says that he went to an Air Force base, which I believe now is named Edwards Air Force Base. And there he watched two alien craft come in. One saying, hey, we'll give you the technology that you need to move humanity forward, but you got to get rid of your nuclear weapons. We don't like that. He didn't like that because they were in the middle of the Cold War, allegedly. The next group said, hey, keep your nukes. We'll give you some technology, but we want some humans to study. So there is that too. It's NASA's cover-up of every rocket launch, well, the majority of them, that have had UFOs, not UAPs, UFOs, following them into space. It's NASA's test rockets like the X-15 that at 370,000 feet above, some altitude like that, that's ridiculous, had a UFO right outside the cockpit window. That story is actually available online. Darcy Weir put it in one of his documentaries about the NASA cover-up. It is public knowledge if you just take the time to look it up. This is what we're dealing with. A lot of people, like I said earlier, would think that this has to do with some sort of conspiracy. And why would it be a conspiracy if it's independent? Because it'll never happen. It should happen. We need it to happen. But will it? We don't know. We're going to take audience questions coming up in hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Hopefully Tim will be able to join us. Hopefully Courtney will be able to join us. But either way, I'm going to be here to continue this show. We'll be right back.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, guys, I will be right back here and see what's going on. Tim's power still is not back on. So I will take audience questions coming up here. Okay. So put them in capital letters. Hi, Astro Fugitive. How you doing? Dave always comes back. Well, unless I'm still waiting for that one day I get abducted while I'm on the air. Love your question, Kim. I actually have a good answer for that. Tick, welcome to SOR Chat. Go Oilers, go yourself, my friend. That was an interesting segment. Here we go. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Feisenmeer. Feisenmeer is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. So let's give you a rundown of the dramatics that have happened on this show so far tonight. Courtney Marchesani was supposed to be our original guest. However, technical issues have her missing in action. Yeah, must be a storm where she is. So Tim James joined us. And he lives about 3-4 miles from me, down the hill into the valley. And his power has gone out. So he's efforting to get back online. So you great listeners have me. That's it. Just me. And I'm okay with that. We don't do this often. So we're going to have a lot of fun with it. We really are. We're going to get our audience to participate in the questions. So if you're in our YouTube audience or on X listening in, put your questions in capital letters and I will be able to check them on out and bring them on for you to check out. Now, if my power goes out, which hopefully it won't because that'll really suck for the radio side, well, I guess I'm going to bed early. That's the beauty of having a radio studio in your own home, like I do at SOR headquarters. So we're going to have some fun here. Let's get to some audience questions. Start off with JSCO. Do you have any further thoughts on Chris Mellon's announcement that we are not alone? Very interesting. What prompted it? Chris Mellon, as I have learned, I don't know the person. I've never spoken to him. Okay? But he is very calculated with what he does. But the one thing that I will say about Chris Mellon is every 6 to 8 months, he puts out almost the same writing, just with different words. He's talked about the government cover-up, the UAP threat narrative, the fact that we are not alone and people in government and the military need to start taking this a little bit more seriously. That is what we see every time. I don't think it was prompted. I think he just had a gut feeling. He saw that ufology is getting, or uapology, is getting a little out of hand. People are not trusting the Arrow program. They are not trusting the sources, whether it's David Grush or Lou Elizondo or many of the regular names we're used to hearing about. And I think he is kind of the man of reason, the voice of reason, where when things kind of start getting a little bit haywire, I think that he is somebody who tries to put it all back together. Kind of like when you accidentally knock over your Lego piece that you've been working on for the last 3-4 weeks, and all of a sudden the cat jumps over and knocks it off the table and it shatters and you got to rebuild from scratch. I think that's what Chris Mellon does, and he does it very well. He is mentally focused on getting more out of this subject. Can he, as one person, do it? I don't know. We don't know if he has a team of people who are working on this. We don't even know who his compatriots are. For the longest time, we thought it was Lou Elizondo, and it was. But are they still buddy-buddy? We don't know. That's the type of information we don't get in this field. And if it is out there, nobody seems to be looking at asking those questions. So it is very interesting that he put it out. I think it's because there's a lot of panic. The UAP crowd is starting to turn and feed on their own. Okay, these are people who've been with this subject since the To the Stars Academy in 2017, and people who've jumped on board since then with all the narratives that have gone on both documentaries, television shows, news articles, so on and so forth. So I think what he's just trying to do is he's just trying to bring everything back into focus. So that's not very surprising because that seems to be his forte. Super Crazy is asking, do you think a united Earth could defeat an invading alien army with the power of love and kindness? No. No, I do not. And let me explain why. Because as of now, there is no threat narrative. All right? There is nothing. Now, I'm not saying all aliens are good. I know there are ETs out there that are causing a little bit of dysfunction. I talked to the experiencers who've said they've had horrific encounters with aliens, whether it's surgeries, whether it's being abducted, whether it's doing heinous things to them. I don't think all ETs are bad, though. I really don't. I think that if they have the power to get here and the technology to get here, whatever weaponry they may or may not have would make ours look like tinker toys compared to them playing with machine guns. Okay, we're going to be throwing rocks at them, and they are going to be shooting us with death rays if that were to happen. The issue that I see with that, Super Crazy, is this. I don't see an alien army coming down. I see aliens coming down and making their presence known. Not by 2027 or after, but sometime in the future, probably long after all of us are gone, and this show up in space, as it broadcasts, will be somewhere around, I don't know, Saturn. The aliens of Saturn will be listening in to what we're talking about tonight. But I believe that if there is an alien war, most likely it will be caused by us, because we are going to have panicked people who are going to force the government to try and bring these things down out of the sky. So imagine Independence Day without the war, but the alien craft just sitting there in the sky flying around. And then we provoke it. Because that's one thing humans are really good at doing, is starting war. We're dumb that way. We really are. So I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think an alien invasion of the bad ETs are going to come down here and it's going to end up being cowboys versus aliens. I don't see that. What I do see happening is eventually something is going to happen that's so profound that it's not going to give countries a choice but to work together to figure out what is going on and whether or not any species that comes down here is of a peaceful determination. That's what we have to be prepared for. I think any type of alien invasion that comes and happens, you will see Russia, China, Japan, Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Portugal, Brazil, name every country on this world, have to get their crap together, stop worrying about the little things, and start worrying about what's going to go on as this planet would move into a definite new future. A future knowing that we are not alone. Little Cam is asking, have you met a lot of Freemasons in your life, and what secrets, general Masonic knowledge have they shared with you pertaining to UFOs and aliens? How do I answer this? Yes, I have met a lot of Masons. No, I have never talked about Masonry. I have never talked about Freemasons. I've never gone into Masonic knowledge or talked to them about aliens or UFOs. I don't get deep into subjects like that, and I'm going to give you an honest answer here. Okay, you may not like my answer, but I'm going to tell you anyways. It's because, to me, it's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. To me, an experiencer is an experiencer is an experiencer. Doesn't matter whether you're a Mason, whether you're a Christian, whether you're Rosicrucian, whatever it may be. Whether you're a Bilderberger, don't care. Now, it's probably narrow-minded on my part that I haven't gone down that road yet, and I'm sure there is something there. However, I do believe that every group out there, any type of occult group, secret society, they all have a portion of the answer. But I don't think it's big enough that, for our show at least, that we have to delve into that. Because a lot of these secret groups, they'll never give up what they want. They're as tight as the United States government is on this subject, if not tighter. So that one is something that I have not had that conversation yet. Let's go to Super Crazy again. Will artificial intelligence kill us all before we ever get UFO disclosure? Woo, that is a heavy question. That is a very heavy question. I'm actually having to think about that one. I'll be honest with you, AI scares the living daylights out of me. It does. I mean, did you ever think back in the 80s and 90s when you saw the original Terminator and then Terminator 2 that we would be close to a society where that is actually close to a reality? I never thought we would get to that point. I mean, eventually, but not in my lifetime. I never thought about it. And now, when you look at how close we really are to how AI is moving so rapidly and changing like every week. I mean, you look at ChatGPT, for instance. For a lot of people, ChatGPT, which came out just a couple years ago, is already old school technology. And the majority of us, self-included, are just starting to see the benefits of ChatGPT. It is a scary, scary thing. You know, it also reminds me of the movie Running Man by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I guess it's all Arnold Schwarzenegger type movies now. Okay? But remember the opening scene where he's the helicopter pilot and he gets the orders to take his pointy sticks and gun down a bunch of innocent people from his helicopter, and he refuses to do it. And then they make an AI film of him actually becoming the butcher. They called him the butcher of that area. Okay, that he was the one who earmarked for that mass slaughter in that movie. That's what AI is turning into, man. Look, there is going to come a time here. there's going to come a time very, very soon, and within probably the next 10 to 20 years, if not sooner, maybe 5 or less, where we are not going to be able to trust any sort of video that comes out. So if we look at this just on a UFO or Bigfoot or paranormal front, okay, we're talking UFOs tonight, so let's just keep it UFOs. If you look at the UFO front on this, you are literally not going to be able to trust any footage whatsoever. Look, when they were coming out with these videos, like when the To the Stars Academy comes out, and they were putting up all these videos on Facebook, the government is taking down this video. Please share it before it gets... This was happening in, I don't know, Vancouver, British Columbia, or Paris, France, or wherever it may be. But the media won't show you this. You knew it was a fake video. You knew back then it was called CGI. And you just roll your eyes and you'd be like, you know, if you were in a UFO group, you'd say something along the lines of, don't post this crap. We're trying to take this subject seriously and you're posting that crap. Just get it off the line. I mean, you're not doing any good. Then you'd get the people, oh, that's real. That's real. I saw it from a different camera angle. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It was all horse hockey. Okay? To steal an old line from MASH. Butcher of Bakersfield was the nickname. Thank you for posting that in our chat room. Butcher of Bakersfield. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger's nickname in Running Man. So, I don't think that we are going to be advancing anytime soon in ufology when it comes to videos, when it comes to audio. And as of right now, we don't even know if we can trust the videos that are out there. Can we trust anything Jeremy Corbell puts out? And that isn't a shot at Jeremy Corbell. Okay? That isn't a shot at him whatsoever. But the videos that he was given to release, how do we know those are real? That's some scary stuff if you think about it. Let's move on to the next question. AI is not going to be overall good. Let's go to Kim here. Would you rather have a beer with Richard Dolan or Lou Elizondo, David Grush, or Chris Mellon? Excellent question. I've had a beer with Richard Dolan in Toronto in 2019. I would really like to have a beer with Lou Elizondo. And let me tell you why. I want to get a feel for what he's like as a person. Okay? You can judge it's easy to judge. Let me put it this way. It's easy to judge a person by their online persona. But until you have an actual personal conversation with that person, you don't know what they're like. You need to be able to get a feel. See how they look when they talk to you. Are their eyes shifty? Are they shifting in their seats? Maybe they're like me, where they're always shifting. Okay? And they just can't control their muscles like I can't. Okay? Or maybe, you know, you get an intuitive feeling of whether or not they're actually telling you that the sky is blue when it's cloudy and rainy outside. I think for a lot of times you need to meet the person. Give you an example. When I was at UFO Con back in April in San Francisco, I got the chance to meet face-to-face Jason Sands. Now, like many of you, I was very, very questionable about the whistleblower. I had had private conversations with him, and I had a chance to sit down and talk with him on about 3 or 4 occasions during that weekend. And I got to know the man, the person. And when you get to know the person, whether, you get a better feeling for who they are, what they are like. And the fact that he spoke and talked about his stories and encounters with his mother in the audience, with his brothers and sisters in the audience, and this was his first time talking publicly, my opinion of Jason Sands changed. I believe he's telling the truth. I don't think he's telling the whole truth, because when you have his NDAs, there are certain things you cannot say. So I believe that you need to have an opportunity to talk to a person. I'd love to talk to David Grush. Chris Mellon, I know I would probably not have an intelligent conversation with him, and that would be my fault, because I think the gentleman is just way too bloody smart for me. And extremely smart people like that intimidate me. They do, because I get lost in their words. And then I don't know what to say. Kind of weird, considering I host a radio show, that I would be at a loss for words. But when you're with somebody who is so smart that you cannot have a conversation with them, I think that's Chris Mellon. That is my opinion of Chris Mellon. And I mean that as a compliment, not as being insultive to him. Would I like to sit down and listen to him talk over a drink? Sure, absolutely I would. I would probably just sit there and do nothing. Kind of like when Jim Goodall talks, if you've ever hung out with Jim Goodall, okay, and if you get the opportunity to meet him in person, just sit down and just shut up and listen, because his stories are incredible. They really are. So that's what I would do. It would probably be Lou Elizondo number 1, David Grush number 2, and if my brain could handle it, Chris Mellon number 3, Richard Dolan, because I've done it before, he would be the 4th guy. Let's go to Paramarv. When you say there is no threat from the aliens, are you drawing a distinction between the general public and the military encounters where aliens may have been defending themselves? No. What I'm saying there, Paramarv, is the threat narrative that we have been shown over the last 8 years is non-existent. There have been countries from Brazil to Canada and others who have come out saying there is no threat of UFOs or UAP in their skies. This seems to be an American problem. And the one thing that we know ever since that dreaded day on 9/11 is fear creates budgets. And there is a lot of money at stake when it comes to UFO technology, and when there is a lot of effort being put into this subject. Example, the majority of websites you go on today where you need a verification code, how many of you look at that and say, what the hell do I have to get an authorization verification code on my phone for this? Somebody made $1 billion plus on fear-mongering, that hackers were going to get into the website. Hackers were going to take your information. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not naive like that. But for the majority of sites that I got to put a code into, it's absolutely useless. I'm sure yours is the same. I'll continue this answer when we return.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Hey guys, I am having a lot of fun with these questions. I'm probably going to continue this right through hour number 3. So keep them up. They are absolutely great. Just do me a favor. Keep them to UFO questions. I am only taking UFO questions tonight. Okay? That's it. I hope you're enjoying what we're doing here, guys. We don't do this often. This is hard. This is harder than hosting. Sylvain, how are you? Aussie Ange, looking stunning as ever. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I just had to check something out here. I'd love to have a beer with Axl Rose. What would you talk to him about? I would talk to him just about life. I'd tell him about Paradise City and the meaning of that song to me. And then I would ask him for a Paradise City whistle. I would. Thank you tonight to Bob, Pam, and Jeremy for the great super chats. Sasha, how you doing? Remember, the Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so we really do appreciate your love and support. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. I did get asked for a couple of ball caps. If we were putting up baseball caps, I've put a couple of ball caps up there now if you want to check them on out, if you have it already. And remember, folks, we do not have ugly swag. No ugly swag. Even somebody as good-looking as Ozzy Ange would wear our stuff. She would. She told me. Here we go in 7 seconds. We're at the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're taking audience questions here. We don't take a lot during the week. A little bit different tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your love each and every night. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, we are continuing with audience questions tonight. Why are we doing this instead of a guest? Well, Courtney Marchesani was supposed to be our guest. However, technical issues caused by weather, she got knocked out. Yeah, couldn't get her on the air. So Tim James joined us, and he got knocked out by weather. Yeah. So it's just me, you, your listening ears, and some really, really cool questions from our audience members who are live in the YouTube chat right now. So let's get right to them. And let's start off with Super Crazy. If you had to choose only one, would you rather witness the Oilers winning just one more Stanley Cup or UFO disclosure? As I wear my Edmonton Oilers ball cap right now. That's a good question. I'm going with the Oilers. I'm going with the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. Why would I choose that over UFO disclosure? Because I don't personally need disclosure. I really don't. I've had it for myself. I've seen things that I cannot explain, and I've had experiences that have convinced me 100 million% that the phenomena of UFOs and alien encounters is real, and I don't need convincing. I don't need the public to come out, or the president to come out to the public and say, my fellow Americans, we are not alone in this universe. I already know because I've experienced it, just like many of you out there. So I would definitely take the Edmonton Oilers winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I would. Oh, that'd be so good. Attorney at Large Michael Morris asking, do you think you can have Brandon Fugel back as a guest? Would like to hear what's happening at Skinwalker Ranch. Yes, we will definitely try to get him back on. It's been too long. It really has been too long, so I will get to that, try and get him up for a date set here shortly. Let's go to Super Crazy again. For fun, what is the best and worst case scenarios for a big 2027 UFO event? The one thing with dates, when people make dates up, I'm not saying 2027 is being made up, but if you're putting the world on watch with a date like that, you got to come with some serious evidence, not, hey, from what I've heard, this is what's going to happen. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Give us some juice. That is less than a year and a half away. And if there's something that humanity needs to be prepared for in 2027, we should know now. Okay? If the bad aliens are coming, we need to know. Because Lord knows we need to start stocking up on food, clean water, ammunition. Okay? Maybe build a trench in your yard so in case the aliens trip in it, you can have like those sticks sticking out so they get their feet caught in them. Right? No, I'm teasing on that part. But no, if there is something serious for 2027 that we are going to be infested or invaded by aliens, I think we should know about it right now. I don't think anything's happening in 2027. Just like all of these people who go on the radio shows predicting the end of the world is going to happen, World War III is going to happen, okay, all of the mountains on the West Coast, all the volcanoes are going to erupt at the same time, causing catastrophic climate change and all this kind of stuff. Those predictions never happen. And God willing, they don't. Okay? But they never happen. And thank God they don't happen. I mean that. But no, I don't think anything's happening in 2027. Zaddy is asking, hey, Dave, how do we report things if we're too scared? So now the truth never comes out. Everybody has their own truth. And you can only do what you feel is right. If you're too afraid to come out and talk about your story, that's okay. If you're too afraid to talk about your encounter, that's okay. If you want to talk about your encounter, if you want to talk about what happened to you or get some help or talk to people, there are a number of experiencer groups on social media like Facebook that have some great advice. Or you reach out to somebody like Misha Johnson or Geraldine Orozco or Barbara Lamb, and many others have private groups away from social media where they actually meet on Zoom calls where they can actually have conversation about what happened. You know, and I hate to use this example, but it's almost like Alcoholics Anonymous except for experiencers, where experiencers can go talk about their encounters and their stories with people who have gone through it before and maybe currently going through it. It's more private. It's more accessible than you think. And all you have to do is find the right people to go through. All right. I wouldn't recommend telling your story on a podcast if you're uncomfortable. I wouldn't expect a radio show, okay, or doing an X Spaces or any type of garbage like that where you can actually get blown out of the water by people who have no idea who you are, because they're the one thing that the internet has created over the last few years is a lot of tough guys and tough girls. Okay, keyboard warriors who are just out there to hurt people's feelings. That's why I don't do a lot of chatting on social media. But they're out there, and it's nothing to be afraid of or scared of, because there are people willing to help. And those people willing to help are not going to charge anything or very little to be a part of their group. You're not having to pay a shrink $300 an hour because you had an alien experience, and then they're going to throw you on a bunch of drugs claiming that you're being schizophrenic or something along those lines. Experiencers know who the other experiencers are. So try that out. Let's next go to Matthew. Dave, any suggestions on what to get for sky watching? Have my eyes and binoculars. Any other equipment? Thank you. I would look at, if I had the budget for it for what we're doing out at Flight 21, I would personally look at getting a psionics camera, because with the psionics, it allows you to see a lot more than what you need. I would get a laser pointer that shoots way up in the sky, because that way, if it is a craft, you might be able to signal them, and they might be able to signal back on the laser beam. please don't point it towards any airliners. The beautiful part about where I live, there's not a lot of airliners going through. I know for a lot of you that isn't the case, but it is something for you to try. I would also look at night vision, where you can zoom in. Night vision goggles, night vision camera, where you can zoom on in. Because a lot of those dots we see in the sky, when you zoom in on them, it's actually triangles, and the three lights of the triangle molding into one light. So that's what I would go with. But more importantly, Matthew, work on your own intuition. Work on your own intuition. So that way you'll be able to know when they are around and what's a satellite and what's not. That would be my best advice. Let's go to Jerry. What if aliens have evolved to AI life forms and the technology we've retrieved from crashed ships is part of an elaborate plan to take over? Well, I don't think if they've crashed here, it's part of an elaborate plan to take over. Aliens could be AI life forms. Look at the Greys. Many people claim they are both biological and robotic at the same time. Look at what Japan is creating with all those human-like sex dolls. Holy cow. People are paying like $20,000, $30,000 for a sex doll that feels lifelike. That just weirds me out. Totally weirds me out. But it is possible. It is possible indeed, Jarence. Let's go to Super Crazy. Would you be open to trying the cuisine of all extraterrestrial civilizations? No, because I am a picky eater. I may be fat. I may be chubby. I may have a double chin underneath this beard. Okay? But I'm actually a picky eater. And even trying game around here. So there's a lot of hunting in my area. People, will eat black bear. They'll eat moose. They'll eat deer. They'll eat elk. They'll eat rabbits, grouse, ptarmigan, ducks, geese. Okay, they'll eat all that. I'm just not a big wild game guy. I'm not. I mean, grouse is a little bit different because it tastes a lot like chicken, and I like chicken. I would try wild turkey, not the booze, the actual animal. I would try that. That seems exciting to me. But as a hunter, I don't know if I could take down a deer because I like deer. I like looking at them. I like everything about deer. They come and they snack in my yard. They lay down in my yard. They bring their babies by. I like them. Now, I have tried black bear jerky. That is pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. It's good. Especially if you get the peppered jerky. Oh, that's good. But I'm not a big game guy. So testing out ET food, that would scare me. Let's go to Tony in the UK. Good morning to you. Dave, what's your thoughts about the boogosphere? Real, fake, human NHI? Your thoughts? Well, I don't know much about the boogosphere, so I actually had to look it up during the break. So for those of us like me who don't know much about it, the boogosphere refers to a mysterious metallic sphere found in Buga, Colombia, that has sparked speculation about it possibly being extraterrestrial. Some scientists are studying the sphere, which appears to have no visible welds or joints and a unique three-layered structure, including 9 embedded dead microspheres. The discovery has ignited UFO curiosity and is being compared to other purported alien discoveries, some of which have later been debunked. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have an opinion on this. I don't know enough about it. But you know what? We do have alien technology here. Many people have stated that who would be allegedly in the know. So could it be? I think the possibility is there. Let's go to hypersonic. If aliens are making clones of people, Have they made replacements for political figures, control of the narrative? No, I don't believe so. And that's my personal opinion. I don't think it's something like Kerry Cassidy or David Icke would put out there that there are reptilians hiding in Buckingham Palace. The Queen was a reptilian. All the presidents and prime ministers of the world are all reptilians and they are, causing havoc. I don't buy that type of conspiracy whatsoever. Okay? I think there's just a lot of ignorant, narcissistic people in a lot of those positions that don't give a care because of their class in society where they think they are better and bigger than everybody else. You know what happens when we die? It doesn't matter if you have 10 billion in the bank or you die with 10 cents in your bank. You're still dead. You are still D-E-D, dead. Yeah. And you know what happens when you give blood? Like if you donate blood, it doesn't matter whether you have $10 billion in the bank or you have 10 cents in the bank. Your blood is the same as every other person. We all have it. Some of us have more acceptable blood. Like I'm O positive. I could donate to almost anybody. And I would. If you need blood, you come see Davey. Davey's got a pint for you. But no, I don't think that aliens have invaded that way. Oob to Joe's Maine, who he's asking, were the aliens that made you go get donuts, what kind of donut did you buy? Oh, Joe, you just won't let this story go. So here's the story. Carl comes back in August of 2018, and I'm hearing the clicking sounds in my backyard, not my driveway. It's like a conversation happening. It's about 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden I get the feeling that I got to go to another area. They're going to show me this mothership. There's going to be other aliens there, and I'm convinced this is going to happen. So I hop in my vehicle, and instead of turning right to drive the couple miles to the lake, I decide to turn left, go to Tim Hortons, grab a Dutchie donut, which is a honey glazed donut. It's square, and it's got raisins in it, and I love raisins. And then I drive to the lake from there, drive all the way back, go to the lake to find the UFO. Of course, it's not there. So it was a Dutchie donut that I got. And I'm still proud that I ate. And it was one donut, not multiple donuts, just one. Wayne is asking, how many meteor showers will they publicize before we find out they are UAP being shot down by humans? Well, what's a UAP? I don't think we're shooting down UFOs. You might be shooting down UAP, but you're definitely not shooting down UFOs. I don't know. Interesting question, though. Kim is asking, what's your take in a parallel civilization living inside Earth? I debate this one. With myself all the time. Is there a society in inner Earth? It's scary to think, but man, could you imagine if you went into that inner Earth and there's like trees and grass and waterfalls and Oompa Loompas creating chocolate? And I don't know. No, but seriously, where are some of these creatures hiding? And a lot of people believe they are going into inner Earth. And that's where they come out of. And maybe there's portals that go in there. Right now, I would say that I am open-minded to that theory. Do I believe it fully? No, not at all. But I'm open-minded to it. Just my personal experience or my personal understanding of it, it's hard to believe that it would be real. Now, do I believe there are other dimensions that are happening at the same time and maybe they're crossing over in parallel times? Sure. I think that's how we are seeing the idea of the Mandela effect. Right? And I just think that would be something that we need to take a serious look at. Right? Got a message from Danny, who's watching the show. He's trying to get me into a new chair. I'm in a Serta Sealy chair. This chair is comfortable as anything. It's just I have a nervous twitch in my body that I'm always moving. I've been like that since a kid. I'm never comfortable. It's so hard for me to get comfortable. I'm a tosser and a turner when I sleep. Everything. So, yeah. Dimensions. That's what I'm into. Dimensions. Let's go to Little Cam. Do you believe that 1.6 gigahertz is true alien frequency and is connected the Skinwalker Ranch? Lil Cam, I'm going to deflect this question because I'm not a scientist, man. I am so not a scientist. I don't understand the 1.6 gigahertz thing. I know what it is. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works. So I'm going to deflect that question because I honestly do not know. That's the best answer that I could get. Let's go to Derek. Dave, if you had to choose one alien race for you and your family to leave Earth for good, who would it be? I don't know. Question is, would I want to go with my family? There's something romantic about going alone. Leaving them here, wondering what happened to dear old Dad. Oh, the kids would be into my inheritance so quickly. But I love them to death. I got amazing kids, man. I really do. I got amazing kids. I tease them. I tease when I say that. But seriously, what species would I want? Definitely not the Greys. I've always had a very close spiritual connection with the Anunnaki. I would say them, or the Pleiadians, or the Nordics. One of those three. The humanoids I like, but the Anunnaki are just big, tough bastards that I would love to be able to hang out with. Maybe do a workout in the gym with them. Probably them. Let's go to Joe. What kind of aliens are out at the Flight 21 crash site? They were tall grays. And once again, I never saw them. I never saw them. I saw the craft. I never saw the aliens. Samantha, Merle, and the rest of the team saw the aliens. I didn't see them. But from what I heard, they were grays. They were tall grays. Paramarv is asking, Thomas Mantle, 1948-1953, jet disappears over Lake Superior, 1956. Mutilation of Sergeant Jonathan Lovett. Seems the military would have reason to be a little concerned. And once again, I'm not saying that all aliens are bad. Or good, pardon me. Not saying that. But did they fire first, or did the Americans fire first? These people, these fighter pilots. This goes to a statement I said earlier that there is no UFO threat narrative. The threat narrative is about the budget. Sure, there's incidents. Sure, things have happened. But they happen everywhere. Car accidents happen daily. People have heart attacks daily. People lose their dog daily. There's always things going on. We have zero control over it. Okay? You can't be like Canada, and just because the bad guys have pointy sticks, that you ban all the good people with pointy sticks. You don't want to be like Canada. Same with aliens. Truly is. We're going to continue with audience questions. Going into hour number 3, we're going to have Swamp Dweller next. Fun show tonight, all about the audience, tonight on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
right, I will be right back, guys. I need to go refill my water. All right, here we go. Let me get caught up here. Thank you tonight to Bob, Pam, and Jeremy for our great super chats. We greatly appreciate the love and support. Reminder, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Get a ball cap. We've got some good ones there. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Change in format tonight as we are hanging on out, talking with our audience, taking questions from them live right here in our chat room on YouTube, which is always a lot of fun. So make sure you check it on out. Yeah, you can check us out on YouTube. Just go hit subscribe, ring that bell. It's easy. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Feisenmeer. Feisenmeer is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. When I was 21 years old, I decided to go out with a bunch of friends in the woods. We decided to hang out after dark. Now we all had booze and flashlights. 2 of us had guns and I had my knife. The walk was long through the woods to get to a cliff with a beautiful view to see the sunset, and we were going to drink and get high. Nothing too major, just some weed. We got to the spot with no problem, and at the top of this cliff, there was a big rock you could stand behind, and nobody would see you. So we sat on the cliff, our backs to the rock and the forest behind the rock. We have a friend, let's call him Jeff. He got up and said that he had to take a pee. We told them to be careful as it was getting dark, and there were cougars and bears in the woods, so I told them to hurry up and be quick, and if anything happened, scream. So he went behind the rock, and we could hear him start to do his business. We were all just sitting there smoking and drinking, when suddenly we heard this loud, almost ear-piercing screech. We all thought it was a mountain lion, so we went to check on Jeff. He was standing there with his pants down around his ankles, this bewildered look on his face, and he had looked white as a ghost. It was almost like he had seen one. We were looking around and we noticed this vast gaping hole in the forest where we could hear something running away. This hole was easily 7 or 8 feet tall, and about 3 or 4 people across. It was enormous. There was no way a bear or a cougar could have made a hole like that, and the sounds of the thing running away almost sounded like a Bigfoot or something. It was so heavy and forceful. Interestingly enough, in the area where I lived, we have tales of something called the Mogollon Monster, which is like a Bigfoot in a sense. This creature is 7 or 8 feet tall and very big, and no one has ever gotten a good look or picture of it. We don't know what happened to that night as Jeff refuses to talk about it, and we don't know what he saw. Some of us chased after it. It was running so freaking fast. It was much quicker than us, and we were gunning it. It got away because we didn't know what it was, what happened, or what Jeff saw. We can only assume that something else was out there that night, and it scared the bejesus out of us.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. He's got thousands of stories just like that for you to take on in. So, What are we doing for the remainder of the show? We're going to continue with audience questions here regarding everything to do with ufology. We've been doing it all night. Our original guest, Courtney Marchesani, had weather issues. She could not get connected to the internet for tonight. As well, Tim James, who was with us for the first half hour of the show, well, his power got knocked out as well. So here we are doing audience questions. And we don't do this often, but man, is it fun. I'm having a great time on the air with you guys. I hope you're enjoying listening in because the questions are absolutely incredible. We're going to start off this hour with Christine. What UFO story in history is the most fascinating to you, Dave? For example, Ariel School, Phoenix Lights, McMinnville. Well, there's a few. You name two of them. I think that we need to put more emphasis on what those kids saw at the Ariel School in Zimbabwe. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this story, this happened, I believe, in the 1990s, where a UFO came down, landed, aliens came out, and started communicating with a bunch of kids from a schoolyard that were on lunch break. And they started giving the kids messages. Now, I think because it happened in Zimbabwe, this one kind of got swept under the table, but I think that's a good one. But there's one in North America, probably two, that I think we haven't paid enough attention to. Number one is the Shag Harbor incident in Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, where the Canadian and United States military both came out, the navies came out into the water where an alleged UFO had crashed. Now, it's alleged that dive teams actually went down there to check on what had crashed in the water, because originally they thought it was a airliner that crashed, and they wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case. No, it happened to be something strange. And in fact, allegedly, the divers saw some sort of aliens working on the craft, and a second craft had pulled up in the water trying to help fix it. They go back the next day. It's gone. Poof, gone, kaput. I think that's a big one. And the other one is the Falcon Lake incident with Stefan Mikulik. Now, this happened in Manitoba, where Stefan Mikulik was out looking for gems along the bank of a creek or a river, and he saw a metallic craft hovering on the ground. And then it landed. And he thought it was some sort of military aircraft. And he went inside. He went and looked inside. He saw something moving around. And then the craft's engines seemed to warm up, took off, and it actually burnt him and gave him radiation poisoning to the point where he had almost like polka dots on his chest. We have a lot of evidence from that. His clothing has evidence. It's all in the university, I believe, the University of Winnipeg. And there is a lot of really key information. Chris Rutkowski has done incredible work with it. So I think those two cases would be the most fascinating for me. Let's go to Blue Cruise. What are your thoughts regarding breakaway civilizations? I'm going to be blunt like I was with Little Cam on his question. I don't know. And pardon the bluntness, I think that's a vague question. Not to be insulting, so please don't take it that way. But I really don't have a good opinion on it. Carrie is asking, is Tic Tac UFO UAP ours or theirs? I was hoping this question came up. The Tic Tacs are UAP. They are not UFOs. Now, originally, I thought they were UFOs because I had talked to key witnesses like Kevin Day. I talked to Sean Cahill. I talked to Gary. Oh, what's Gary's last name? He was on the Princeton at the time. Okay. They saw something. Kevin Day especially, who was the radar operator who sent the FA-18s up to investigate the Tic Tacs. And I believe that they were UFOs by the information that I was given by these incredible veterans, and thank them for their service. However, my opinion changed one day. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I'm not going to say who, because I have to keep them anonymous. But we all have sources in here that we talk to. If you're somebody in this field, you have sources and people will talk to you. And this person one day showed me a military challenge coin. And the one thing that he specified to me was this challenge coin was, if you want to learn about Black Ops, you need to watch Alice in Wonderland, because for some reason Black Ops loves Alice in Wonderland. So he sends me a picture of this coin on Signal, and he's like, I have to put this on erase. He goes, you can only look at it for a couple minutes, but I'm going to erase it right after this because I don't want you having a copy of this. So I was like, okay. And this coin had the Mad Hatter on it. And this coin was created prior to the Matrix ever coming out. And the Matrix, you know, the red pill versus blue pill, which pill are you taking? Well, the Mad Hatter had each hand, he had a red pill in one hand and a blue pill in the other. Behind the Mad Hatter, it was all black. Then, here's the interesting part. Over the Mad Hatter's shoulder, his left shoulder, there was a white Tic Tac, like it was flying in dark sky. And it was like exploding. So you had the Tic Tac there, but all around it, it looked like maybe another one had exploded around it with little white dots all around. And I really thought right after that, knowing this person's credentials, oh my God, the Tic Tacs are ours. It was a very surreal moment for me because I really thought the Tic Tacs were alien descent or of alien origin. But when I saw that challenge coin, and the one thing about this field in UFOs, or even the military, if you're a military buff or you're a veteran, and God bless you if you're a veteran, thank you for your service. Patches and coins all tell a hidden story. Every patch that is worn by a military person, the patch has a story, especially if you get into the Army or the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines with the pilots, where patches seem to really matter a lot more than, say, the 82nd Airborne patch or a Rangers patch. But patches all tell a story. And these challenge coins that are handed out for certain missions, they also tell a major story as well. And you have to be able to read into the patch in order to understand it. So when I read into the coin and had a conversation with this person about the coin, I said to this person, is the Tic Tac ours? This person says, I can't tell you. He goes, but you saw the coin, and that's the only thing I'm going to tell you. So from that moment on, I believed the Tic Tac was actually our technology. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm not wrong, but my belief is that they are ours and they are not UFOs. They are human UAP. Fast Hemi is asking, how many experiences have you had, Dave? Too many to count. If I were to add them all together, a couple hundred, if not more. It's been a weird adulthood for old Davey. That's why this radio show came about. Let's go to Joe again. Have you run across any aliens at the crash site? I have not personally, just the ones that were there in the forest that day. I answered that question a little bit earlier. Let's go to Area 51. Who do you think has the most credible UFO encounter? Each and every person who has one. Because they are all different. I personally believe somebody when they say, I've had an encounter. You can tell when someone's exaggerating. And experiencers, and this is going to sound totally weird. I've mentioned this on the air before, but if it's your first time hearing it, this is my belief. An experiencer can tell whether or not another person is an experiencer or making it up. It's just something that when you have an experience, you feel it. You know the feeling, your body memorizes the feeling, what it was like seeing that triangle craft or what it was like seeing that Bigfoot in the forest. There's a feeling that goes along with it. And if you're not paying attention to that feeling, you'll get the wool pulled over your eyes. So I think the most incredible encounters are the personal ones. The government ones, I don't believe as much. I think we spend too much time giving the government agencies and former intel people way too much credibility when people like you and me are having more amazing occurrences that we are talking about publicly. And you got to realize about 95-98% of the people out there who are talking publicly about their experiences, they're doing it not for their 15 minutes of fame. They are doing it because they want to find out answers because the experience was so profound on their psyche. They just want to know the main answer to this question. Why me? Why me? So that would be my answer to that. Let's go to Seymour. What incentive could ever exist for a civilization, biological or more likely an AI, that's overcome scarcity having to initiate contact with Earth or its inhabitants? That's a deep question. I think we have a great curiosity. You got to realize Earth is a loud planet. With all the noise pollution, light pollution, the signals that we are putting out there, the space debris that is out there from blown up shuttles to blown up satellites to meteorites to everything in between. We are a loud planet. And if our signal goes on forever, okay, so somewhere out there right now, if somebody were to view Earth, they would be seeing dinosaurs. Our radio signals of doing this show for 10 years are out there somewhere, probably around Mars or Jupiter, heading out into the universe. Somebody picks up this signal way out there, they can listen to us. We're an interesting planet. We are the universe's greatest reality TV show. Humanity. Watch it unfold. We have everything. We have violence. We have sex. We have war. We have drugs. We have rock and roll. We have extreme sports. We have boring knitting television. And I'm saying it's boring. Not that knitting to other people isn't boring. Because now you have to make that clarification before you offend someone. We have everything here. You want to go fishing, go fishing. If you want to climb the top of the mountains of Mount Everest and step on over the bodies, you go for it. We have everything to entertain them. And we got great, great minerals and metals like gold and silver and diamonds and platinum and titanium and moscovium or element 115. We got volcanoes that the UFOs seem to fly into. Maybe they are refueling stations. I don't know. But why wouldn't you? We are interesting. Let's go to Amy. Dave, are you still upset about breakfast for dinner? Nobody should be eating breakfast foods for dinner. Ever. Ever. The only caveat to that is bacon, because bacon is universal. There's no need for bacon and eggs or pancakes or an omelet or toast for dinner or cereal for that matter, even if you are a college student. There's no need for it. Have a real meal at dinner. Do your body better. Let's go to Blue Cruise. Have you ever heard of any information regarding experiences with small or tiny UFOs? Our Keith Andrews has talked about this numerous times. He'll be our guest coming up on the next show. He has talked very much live about this, trying to figure out that UFOs come in all shapes and sizes, big, small. You know what's weird is you get these people where they say there was this orb and I got taken into this little tiny orb. And when I went inside that orb, it opened up to about the size of a football stadium. So was it really small? Or was it a projection of being small? Or was it just a gateway into something else? Think about that. I think we got time for one more before we go to break here. Let's go to Sasha. Dave, what was your scariest experience, paranormal or otherwise? Scariest experience happened last year when we were out at Flight 21, when we got chased, or I shouldn't say chased, that's wrong. When we got escorted, to put it politely, out of the forest by the Sasquatch. We never saw them, but we heard him, and he was close. And when we left and he whistled right behind our vehicles, he was only about 30 feet away. That was scary. It was... I would say, and I think this term gets thrown around too loosely, but I would say I have some sort of PTSD over it. And I know Samantha does, I know Merle does, and I know other people do. It was scary. The fact that we were being hunted was not a comfortable feeling. The fact that I think we upset this creature, whether it was because we were there, whether it was because there were Sasquatch family members there, whether we stayed there too long, maybe we were in his hunting territory and he wanted us out. I don't know. What I do know is that it was a scary feeling, and I never want to have that again. It was intense. Absolutely intense. We got another half hour, a final half hour. We're going to continue on with the audience questions as we continue on with this special show of Spaced Out Radio. We don't talk a lot with the audience, but tonight we are, and I'm having so much fun. I hope you are too. Let's round it out strong when we come back.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
I'm really having fun tonight. Thank you. Sorry if I'm not talking. I'm trying to save my voice here. I'm just reading your comments. Estes method in the woods, Hillbilly Herb, if you're in a haunted location, is pretty freaking cool. Not only in the area where Joe Monk lives is there bears, he's got Bigfoot and he's got aliens. He just doesn't like to admit it. I've already proven it to him. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have audience questions all about UFOs tonight. We're going to have a good time Finishing it up strong with them. A little bit of change in format, but that's okay. We're having fun. We're going to get right to it. Let's just run with it. Let's just roll with it. The audience questions are amazing, so let's just do it right here. Let's start out with Blue Cruise. Is the clicking sound, or the noise that aliens ET make indicate insectoid DNA? No, this was gray aliens. Now, I'm not doing the sound justice when I go, because it doesn't really sound like that, but that's the best that I could do to make it sound like it. It's more from the diaphragm. I don't know how to do it. R. Keith Andrews could do it. I cannot. So, that's the only way I can put it. Like you're calling over a horse. Yeah. Back to Blue Cruise. Do you believe our military has a secret space force inside our solar system? Yes, I do. Do I have proof? No, I do not. Do I want to believe? Yes, I do. When you look at projects like the Black Triangles, the TR-3Bs, the Project Solar Warden, people who have come out talking about the secret space force, I've had people on the inside tell me, don't ask me about it. I can't talk about it. I believe there is something there. I think there's more of a reason than the moon landings of Apollo were all about a political strategy rather than an exploratory scientific strategy. I think there is a base up there. I think the triangles are flying. That a lot of them are ours. A lot of them are alien as well. I think that these craft, whatever they are, like these TR-3B black triangles, I think that they may be units that are jumping up to the moon and back. Maybe they never land. I don't know. I'm also wanting to believe in jump rooms. If you remember the Andrew Bashago story about jump rooms, I think there's jump rooms too. I want to believe that. I know Grant Cameron believes that they're there. So if Grant believes it, I believe it too because I trust him. So yes, I do believe that there is a secret space force. Alien Believers is asking, Dave, you do not believe in the Illuminati or they exist at all. Are you saying that they are not a real thing? No, I never said that. I think there are groups out there, whether, without trying to get too political, whether it's the Illuminati or the Bilderbergs or the World Economic Forum, that are all about enhancing them and themselves. Now you think about it, here they want, if you go down that rabbit hole, all of these alleged Illuminati, Bilderberg, WDEF societies, they want to wipe out the majority of people on this planet. 50 million, I think that's the total they want. Most of these people have never picked up a shovel or a hammer in their life. What are they going to do about infrastructure? Who is going to build their bridges? Who is going to keep their water clean, keep their roads paved, keep their air clean, grow their food? Who's going to do that? You need people. Now, what I did say, Alien Believers, is that I don't believe that, the David Icke theory that the Queen was only the age that she was because she was a reptilian who fed off of virgin children's blood. I don't believe crap like that. I just don't. Area 51 is asking, who do you think has the most credible UFO encounter? Stefan Mikulik, because there was evidence to back it up. And once again, every experiencer out there. I think I answered that, though. Necessary Dialogue is asking, do you think UFOs change our timeline? Oh, this is a deep question. I'm going to have to fiddle with the beard of knowledge here for a second. I don't think it's UFOs that have changed the timeline, but I think there has been some sort of shift in the timeline. I do. I think that's the reason why so many of us misremember a lot of these little things that are said to have never happened, which has created pretty much the Mandela effect. I think there is something to the Mandela effect. I really do. And I think there has been timelines that have been played with. Now, whether they are what I think they are, I don't know. I just don't know. Let's go to Super Crazy. What do you think happened in the 1947 Roswell incident? Do you think we recovered UFO craft and living or dead alien beings? Yes, I do. Now, I'll give you the Dave 101 on Roswell here. And no, it's not a get off my lawn type of Dave 101. No. Definitely not. Hold on.
Open up the door, it's Dave! Who? Dave, D-A-V-E! What is this?
Dave's not here. It's the Dave 101.
I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over.
Leave the killer! Yeah! Leave the killer!
Dave's a mess.
All right, here's your Dave 101 on the Roswell incident, 1947. I've talked to a number of people about this. Number one, you don't bring a platoon of soldiers to pick up a Mylar balloon. You don't get that platoon of soldiers to cordon off an area, threaten people with their livelihoods and their lives and their families' lives over a Mylar balloon. You don't bring a triaxle trailer and a semi-truck to pick up a Mylar balloon. You don't. Now, here is the scary story that I have heard from a couple of sources. I think I can tell this. I think I've told it on the air before, maybe only once. The crash happened, the military came in. What they don't admit to is that there was two crashes that day, one in Corona, which became the Roswell incident, one in San Augustine. There were two crashes. Most Roswell researchers will never tell you that, though. On the Roswell crash, the crash came down, the bodies came flying out of the craft, and when the U.S. military arrived, they thought it was some sort of handicapped children from Russia because they were speaking different languages, which people interpreted as Russian for some reason, and they thought that these children who were extremely large-headed and large-eyed, they thought that they were some sort of handicapped child. And so they took these children, and eventually they killed them. They offed them. They unalived them, whatever trendy word we have to use on social media today. Problem was that the aliens called up and said, hey, we'd like our craft back and we'd like our friends back. And the U.S. government went, they're not alive. When asked what happened to them, they said, well, we thought that they were injured children from Russia, and they died. And we got rid of their bodies. And apparently, according to some people who believe any time between 2027 and 2035, that a really upset alien species is coming here to pick up their craft and pick up the bodies. I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard it from 2 different sources. Still waiting for a third on that one. But yes, I do believe that the Roswell incident is real. A UFO crashed there. One crashed in San Augustine at the same time as well. And that they unalived the alien bodies. Or the aliens that survived. Not to be morbid, but that's your Dave 101. Paramarv is asking, any regrets in your interactions with aliens or the forest people? Anything you'd want to do over if you could? Yes. Going back to 2014 when I had the UFO encounter and 5 days later met Samantha Mowat and had the alien encounter, I wish I would have had the strength to go up to them. I wish I would have had the strength to walk with Samantha up to the being. I wish I wasn't scared. I wish I would have had the strength to go for a closer look at that UFO 5 nights previous to that. I wish I would have been able to do that. Those are my biggest regrets. My next biggest regret would have been last year, even though I was scared as hell, leaving the forest when that one was asking us to get out. I just wanted to see him. Like, my buddy Mark believes he was probably within 20 yards of us. Yeah. I'd have liked to have seen him. Those would be my only real regrets of everything, because I think you have to try things. And trying things, you have to be able to put yourself in uncomfortable situations at times. I think that is something that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fix that. I'm trying to build up my own bravery. I mean, I can talk blustery here on the radio and say, yeah, man, I'm going out to look for Bigfoot, and if I see one, I'm going to go up to it and I'm going to boop it right in its nose. Just one finger, boop, right on its nose before it rips my arm off and beats me to death with it. It's not like that. All these guys who act brave or tough out in the field, they're just as scared. They just don't want to admit it because they're afraid it's going to hurt their persona. I'm like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. It's great to talk about. When you put yourself out there as bait, okay? And you're using yourself as bait, it's not a comfortable feeling. It's not. It's like I always tell you guys, I would love for the fact of maybe during a break during one of these shows when I go for a weather check. Because for those of you who are just learning, I have my radio studio inside my home. And if I walked outside, let's say after this show, and there is a UFO on the ground in my backyard's big enough for a UFO. Bravery that I project on air would be like, I would go up to that and I'd walk up to it and I would say, hey, can I fly the craft today? But the reality is, I'd probably crap my pants. I'd probably be stone cold frozen, staring at it, wanting to take it all in, and taking baby duck steps in order to get closer to the craft. But yeah, I would love for it to happen, because I would hope that I could find that bravery inside of me. And I'm being vulnerable here for a second. I would hope that I could find that bravery to actually commit to following through and walking aboard that craft, or walking up to that Bigfoot and saying hello. I'd love to meet Carl, the Gray. Would I have the guts to talk to him face to face away from this microphone? I do not know. I'd like to think that I would, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have the strength to do that. Heavy question. Good one, Paramarv. Carrie is asking, have you ever experienced a UFO in the city? Not in a major city, but I used to live in the suburbs of Vancouver, where I had a lot of my encounters. A lot of my encounters. So yes, technically, I was in a city, but not in a big city, not like a metropolis. So I had my Black Triangle encounters, other UFO encounters. It's cool. Area 51 is asking, what is your favorite sci-fi film? Comedy would have to be Back to the Future. I love that trilogy. I do. Believe it or not, I actually don't watch a lot of movies. And the reason why is I don't have time, number one. But here's the real story behind it. We're going to get more into Vulnerable Dave here for a second. As a kid, I grew up very sheltered with my parents. With me having two older sisters that were kind of wild, my parents really put the clutches down on me. So from like grade 7 through high school, realistically, I wasn't allowed to go out and party like every other kid was. I wasn't allowed to go hang out. I wasn't allowed to do that. So every night I had to sit at home and watch videos. I'd go down to the video store, pick out my two VHS movies that I was watching that night, and that would be my Friday night and Saturday night. And I hated it. I mean, to this day, getting me to watch a movie or anything on TV is extremely difficult. And I get hit up by people every day posting, you got to see this, you got to see this. It's only 35 minutes. It's only an hour and a half of videos people want me to watch. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Can't stand videos. Cannot stand movies for the most part. Now, there are some movies that I love. A lot of them are sports movies. I like action movies. And I love Shoresy on TV. I'm into The Blacklist right now. Just started that. I'm on season 1, episode 10, and only 9.5 more seasons to go. But it's hard for me to sit down and watch a television show or movie. Extremely hard. Final question from our audience tonight goes to Joe. Dave, will you greet the hairy guys if you beat them at the crash site? Beat them? Oh, I wouldn't beat them. They'd kick my butt in a heartbeat, man. I would love to see them. I want that interaction. I would love to be able to be sitting there in my chair and all of a sudden have one of them come right out into the rounded area that's open and just sit there and stand and just stare at each other. I would say 2 words to that creature, Joe. I would say, thank you. I would say thank you. Because it would be an amazing moment when that happened. And probably one that would never be repeated again. Big thank you to everybody who posted questions tonight on the show, making this a real fun one with just Dave and all of you hanging on out, talking about all the weird, strange things that have happened about UFOs. I hope you enjoyed my opinions. I hope you enjoyed my expression of the topic and my passion with it, because I love the subject of ufology. I cannot stand upology, but ufology is where it's at. We got to bring it back bigger and stronger than ever. As we say hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The sheets are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. That was a good show. A lot of fun. Jim Goodall, what happened? What happened to your Corvette? Is it written off? Did you write? Are you okay? My birthday was great. Can't believe your Corvette got totaled. At 3 miles an hour. Now, are you talking 3 knots or 3 miles? Oh, Jimmy, that's sad. I know you love your car, too. Okay, I will send that to you on Facebook Messenger, Jim. Love you, buddy. Everyone, my throat is a little sore from talking for 3 hours, so I'm going to cut this short. Thank you tonight to Granola Grin, Jeremy, and Pam, and Bob for the super chats. Thank you to all our new subscribers and followers on YouTube and social media. Very much appreciate it. I'm going to go just zip it up for a while so I can be prepared for tomorrow night's show with R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. So let's keep it going. Let's have some fun. And we'll see you all tomorrow night, everybody. Thank you for making this a very fun and special night. You guys are the best. And don't forget to share this with a friend. Let's get more people in our chat room. Talk to you soon, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.